Okay, so we've got Cam here, who's another trainee. Oh, look, I took off with it.
Yeah,
okay.
that's good.
Another trainee, been with us for how long have you been with us?
Joined in November,
November
last year. So yeah,
okay.
maybe 8 or 9 months.
Okay, cool. And we're just going to have a quick chat to Cam. And yeah, I'll hand it over to you.
Fantastic. Really good opportunity. Thanks for coming around, Cam.
No worries.
So this discussion can go a few ways, but I would love to get a bit of context first on your situation. Obviously, I've come in, like you said, you've been with Richard for a while now, but of course you weren't always a trader. And so where'd you start?
I guess going way back, came from a bit of a sports background, playing sports growing up, which we'll probably touch on throughout this conversation as being a key part of the mental side of the trading game. Work in professional services, so in executive recruitment, have done some consulting and human resources along the way as well. I'm a dad of a daughter, 3.5 years old. Also got a couple of twins on the way.
There you go.
So life is busy, but got into the trading and investment world probably a while ago, but never really pulled it all together into a simple framework. So joined Richard November last year, I think it was. Took some time to get through the content, but then been really focusing and immersing myself in that since. It is a time commitment, but I see it as a forward investment cost of going, put the time in now and then have a skill for life. And that's, essentially what I'm working towards, is having something which will allow me to build a bit of lifestyle freedom whilst also, focusing on income and that sort of thing.
So was that your first look at trading? So you really hadn't joined anyone else, you just found Richard?
Yeah, so I'd read a lot of books, as most people have, but I'd almost classify it as education and entertainment. So, I was reading to learn, but also reading just because I liked the content. But the practical application is where I was really lacking. So, my bookshelf is full of books, but the actual application of that knowledge and content was really lacking. So joining Richard and being on live sessions, every night, that repetition of message is critical to it actually sinking in, but also the practical application, which is happening every night. So you're getting in the repetitions of learning, and now it's that reflective practice which I'm working on to really refine my approach.
And you're trading quite well now, aren't you?
Getting better. So ups and downs still, but I think I'm on that next phase of development where you're really focusing on consistency. Your highs might be high, your lows are not as low, but it's more the regulation of each game, each night. And that's the way I'm approaching it, is to go, one bad game doesn't destroy your season, but what did you learn from it? What did you do wrong? When you have a really good game, what did you do well? And documenting that as well, so that it's not forgotten as soon as you're in the heat of the battle again.
Excellent. Problem. Awesome. So you do quite a bit of journaling?
Yes. I think that's probably where the greatest learning comes from, is that, reflective practice of going, and Richard talks about it with journaling your trades. You'll forget your trade, 3 days later, 3 minutes later sometimes. So, why'd you take the trade? What were you feeling when you put the trade on? What were you feeling during the trade? When you exited, why did you exit? Was it an impulse that made you exit, or did you hit your target price? So starting to really build that to understand my own behaviour, then starting to control it as well, because once you're in I call it the heat of the battle, but once you're in it, that's where often your instinct and your behaviour is less moderated than before you put a trade on.
Cool. I'd like to take for a little bit more of a step back, just talking about those beginning stages for you, seeing as it is, still quite early in your career, and that you've made some pretty big amounts of development, which is something that I think that's worthy to note here, because there are going to be a lot of people, there definitely are a lot of people still in that early stage of their journey. They also want to make some quick progress. Obviously everyone wants to make quick progress, but that also comes with doing things in the right way. You're looking at acquiring a skill set. You're looking at planning out, how can I be successful with this skill set? How did you break that down? Because it's obviously led you where you are today.
Yeah.
So how did you break down how you were going to win at trading or your best chance at making it work?
Yeah, so I think, everyone that starts in this caper has dollars in their mindset, and that's how we measure success at the start. We go, how much did I make tonight? How much did I lose tonight? But that's actually not the right measure, and it's not until you start working through that initial phase of, you start really well because you learn the method. It's almost a level of ignorance that allows you to have that success at the start where you're going, actually, this is pretty easy. As soon as you think that, get ready for the next phase of development because that confidence, that confidence will get crushed at some point. But knowing that's coming, writing it out as well, like a lot of people go, I can't do this. This isn't meant for me. They'll give up really easily. That's where you're losing the opportunity to learn. I think for me, it was redefining what success looks like. And rather than going, have I made, $100 tonight? Have I made, money this week? Have I actually followed the process? Redefining the success from an outcome to the success being the process, and really trying to refine that process along the way so that gives you the best chance of success longer term rather than, a flash in the pan win. You're really wanting to have a stable base to work from week in, week out, and then just continually get better each week. Yep. And again, that comes from that reflective practice.
Awesome. And it also came with, like you said, putting your theory into practice and then picking a mentor, which was a big part of it. What made you choose Richard over anyone else?
Yeah, well, you do a search, you find a lot of different things online, but for me it was the access. Richard, if I call him, he'll pick up the phone 9 times out of 10, and if he doesn't pick it up, he'll call me back probably within 5 minutes. That's really important because you're not waiting. You might have a thought or you might have something you need to talk to someone about, and he's accessible. The other thing was the live sessions, I think, is undervalued. That's where you're seeing, a real trader in action, talking through the approach, talking about what he's looking at. If this happens, then this. If that happens, then that. Or none of that might happen. So the reality of going, even if you think something's going to happen, it may not. And there's a few mantras I think that are repeated regularly to keep us in check. But I think picking Richard and Lepus was about, how can I put myself in an environment which gives me the greatest chance to succeed in this arena, and being around like-minded traders, learning from someone that's, stood the test of time, that's enhancing my probabilities of success versus sitting at home alone in the study trying to figure it out myself.
Did you find it difficult to pick someone? Because there are a lot of people marketing themselves to put YouTube out there, some people flexing.
Probably went for, I guess, someone that wasn't doing that, because I think when you see that the show, what sits behind it, and then, that gets revealed pretty quickly. But yeah, it was almost just a natural connection. I think I called Richard after I found stuff online. We had a chat for probably 15, 20 minutes and it felt right. So followed that instinct.
Fantastic. How about your time management? I know for myself, learning to trade, and for a lot of the students who I've spoken to, through the events and in the Discord, they sometimes struggle to manage their time. Being a dad, working. Sometimes people even have the itch so much, and they're so committed to trading. They can be quite intelligent as well, but they can maybe logically think they want to go all in just so that they can make it, burn the bridges. But you don't do that. It's not the way to go. Obviously, you haven't done that.
Try to avoid that.
Yeah. So, how do you do it? How did you make it work?
There's still always the tension, and it's time management, but also life phases as well. Everyone's at a different phase in life where they've got competing priorities. Where do you place your priority? How do you communicate that with other stakeholders in your life? But also, I think for me, and this has only come to me recently, is recognizing when you're not in an environment for good trading, or you're not in a good headspace for good trading. Yeah. And I was talking to Richard about it earlier, that awareness, that's part of my development, is being aware. Am I in the right headspace, the right environment to trade well tonight? Probably not. Okay, well, don't trade. Save yourself the grief, save yourself the kind of the confidence hit that you'll take if you do trade. I don't think there's an answer to how to best manage time. I think it's more, how do you integrate it and prioritize it? If this is really important to you, well, make it important. Put it as one of those top priorities, and don't relent on it, because you think of this as a elite sport, which that's how I'm viewing it. The best show up every day, and they're not just practicing, they're trying to practice in the perfect way every time. So they put the time in, they put the reps in, and they prioritize it. If you want this to be a part-time thing and take that part-time approach, it's going to take a long time, versus if you just go all in from an effort perspective, you'll hopefully get closer to trading well sooner, which might help with some of those time management problems later on.
Yeah, sure. I love the idea of perfect practice. Definitely, that's something that we took away from a previous conversation with we did a podcast in the past as well. Not just putting in the effort. I mean, I think for a lot of people, when they start out trading and they're doing it in their bedroom and they're putting in the reps, they're putting in the hard work, sort of banging their head against the wall or going around in circles, it's the very common way to be. Well, are you practicing perfectly? Are you actually setting yourself up strategically to succeed to begin with, by having the people around you that can make sure that you are on the right track, to make sure that you getting that proper, like you said, perfect practice in? That is how you improve. Otherwise, how frustrating can it be? Did you ever go through that, going around and again, sort of before obviously you had Richard by your side?
Yeah, I think for me, you have wins and losses, and I mean that from a development perspective along the way, and sometimes you confuse brains with a bull market as well, and then you get slammed, and then you're trying to figure out what just happened, because you're doing well, you're not doing well now. Is it my method? Is it my mindset? What is it that went wrong? And I've been fortunate, never to really dip too far that it's not recoverable or you can't move forward. But again, it's trying to understand what environment's going to give you the best chance of success. And again, it's coming back to the best athletes of the world. And Richard talks about this, is they've got coaches around them, they've got supporters, they've got people to pull them up when they're overconfident, they've got people to pick them up when they've dropped down. So having that as a support mechanism's, incredible, and I need to maximize it more, because that's going to get me to where I want to be a lot faster.
Okay, and where's that?
Well, hopefully at some point being able to generate an income from this. My focus at the moment is really to balance the professional services life with the trading life, with the family life. As you said, time management's a challenge, but my view is that this could be essentially a business for me, and focusing on it being something where there's that forward investment cost of time, effort, some dollars that you put into the market as well, that sometimes the market consumes it to teach you a lesson. But I view this as an opportunity to create a business that can stand the test of time for me from a life perspective, that hopefully it's generating an income that, I live a good life. I maintain that, not extend it, and ideally is giving me a bit more of that lifestyle freedom, comes with it, so that you're not working a 60-hour week. You're working a bit less than that, but still focused on something that gives you a purpose, something that you're passionate about, and then at the end of the day, hopefully a paycheck as well.
Yeah, for sure. So you're trading with live money at the moment?
Yep.
Yeah,
just my own money.
Yeah, your own money, and you're trading just a smaller account. You mentioned before about the risk control. Is that something that you learnt from Richard, about just being able to stay in the game, managing your risk, or is that something that was just always just more conservative nature of you?
Yeah, again, getting back to the many books I've read, everyone talks about 2% risk or 1% risk or 3% risk, must have a stop loss on every trade. all these things that you read time and time again, practical application of that, not as good. But, I think staying in the game is really important, that you're not wiping out with 20% loss in one trade because it just absolutely decimates your progress. The risk management side of things, there's probably been more around why you're taking the trade, building the story, what's the confluence that is in the trade. That's probably where the risk management improves, because you're putting yourself in the right position at the right time. Still might not work out, and if it doesn't, you've got your stop loss there to take you out of the trade, versus feeling like this is the one and just throwing that out of the way, because it won't be the one. And you'll figure that out really quickly.
Yeah, definitely have myself too in that one.
Yeah. Oh, everyone has.
The
I
old
think.
Hail Mary trade.
Yeah.
Putting all chips in.
Yeah.
Hopefully crossing your fingers.
Yeah. And it might
Doesn't
work. It might work, but then you'll do it again.
Do you know what happens when it does work? You think you've got it.
Yeah.
Right? Then it doesn't work the next time.
That's
right.
Yeah.
And you wipe yourself out. Eventually, you'll wipe yourself out.
Yeah.
If you're doing stuff like that.
Gambling at that point.
That is gambling. 100% it is.
And this, we're not here to gamble.
We are definitely not here to gamble. We're taking calculated risk
Exactly.
and working within a system to profit.
Yeah.
Just shifting ourselves in that.
It's an interesting point, because a lot of people think, like, you probably faced this when you first started trading, and, you might have gone through this with, your partner or your wife. There's a misconception, I think, with a lot of people that don't actually trade. They think trading's gambling.
It's calculated risk. Right?
It is.
We are working in probabilities, but gambling is small risk, big reward. 10 to 1 horse or something like that. We don't work in that framework. We're working in the framework of understanding what the positive edge is, and then executing based on that positive edge with all of the components that will influence that.
Yeah.
And we're confident. Eventually, everybody is just confident. The idea is that you have so much confidence over what you're doing, in that you're just calm and centered all the time. You just execute without hesitation. You just, whether it wins or loses, doesn't matter, because you know that ultimately you will be winning by the end of the week. Gambling is emotion driven.
Yeah.
It's always emotional driven. You've gone down, you've got 4 or 5 stop losses in a row, and you go, let's go big on this one because I can't possibly lose again, or who cares, I'll give up, whatever, that type of thing. That's gambling.
Yeah.
When you're driven by your emotions.
Well, that's the thing. How does a trader get that confidence where they're like, okay.
Practice. Just outright practice.
Repetition.
Obviously, repetitions. So let's say the 10,000 hour rule that I was discussing at our seminar, okay? 10,000 hour rule is not necessarily, applicable. I mean, in something that's in a certain environment, that 10,000 hours will make you an expert at something. But unfortunately, there's certain conditions, there are 4 conditions to make you an expert. First one will be, many repetitions, deliberate practice, okay? Can't remember the third one. But on the 4th one, it requires a valid environment, okay, to make sure that you're an expert. Unfortunately, in trading, we don't have a valid environment, okay? And that means because we're working in the realm of probability, okay? So we've really got to be able to have enough practice, have your journal, have your macro statistics, have somebody behind you, have the support, have the group environment, all of those things on a consistent basis so that we can make it as valid as possible, okay? But also getting your mindset right to be working in that area, that zone of probability.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So once you get a hold of that, once you understand that, mate, you're off, okay? It's just that flipping of what's going on inside your head and that belief level, which will inhibit trader that isn't, up there yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, that's why you started Lepus.
That's why I started Lepus, because, I want a group of people around me, right, who are high level.
And you want those people that want to be high level as well to have a group around them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that everybody can get success out of it.
Yeah, win together.
Instead of getting depressed.
Chasing losses.
Chasing losses.
Trading
yeah.
in your
Turning into bigger gamblers.
Correct. That's right.
finding yourself trading meme coins in your bedroom.
Correct. Well, they're just pennies.
Yeah.
They're pennies, right? So, good on you if you can make money out of quick wins out of meme coins and penny stocks and things like that, because they are literally gambling,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of them pumped and dumped, and if you're not on the ball with it, you can't exit. You'll go to zero, right?
Would you, okay, just to go back on that, would you say if you were on the ball with it, would it still be,
Well, I mean,
gambling?
it's a different style to what we're doing. It's not what we're doing,
Yeah.
right? If you want to go and have some punts on meme coins and that's your business, then cool, go ahead. That's whatever, right? But what we are sophisticated in what we're doing. We're calculated with what we're doing, and we treat it and we're looking for consistency, ongoing consistency, not one big random win. Can we make, 10 to 20,000 US dollars a week, right? That's what we're doing, and week in, week out. Investors love that.
Yeah.
Investors will not come anywhere near you if you're some guy going to punt on meme coins.
Yeah.
Right? Use your own money. That's your risk, that type of thing. But we're not interested in it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Are you interested in the prop side as well?
Well, this is part of the battle, is trying to understand what you want out of all this. For me, it's the initial focus is really to get that consistency that Richard's talking about, make it a business of my own, trading our own money. That's probably the first focus. We'll see what comes next.
Yeah. You haven't thought about how far you want to take it?
No, baby steps. Just need to nail that consistency first before I get too far ahead of myself. And I think, that's the thing of redefining what success is as well. As for me, success is really nailing the process rather than what the outcome could be, whether it's, dollars in the bank, whether it's, working for a prop firm, whether it's, having your own business that's, goes somewhere else. But for me, it's, I'm purely focused on getting good at this. Success and rewards and the outcomes flow from that. So, trying to stay grounded in that sense.
Did you have that same mindset you spoke about earlier? You were an athlete growing up?
Wannabe athlete, 5'9", playing basketball. We talk about probabilities. Wasn't a good bet, but I think for me, the environment I grew up in. I'm a younger brother, and my brother was an athlete, and he was an elite athlete. He was really good at what he did.
Basketball?
No, cycling. So,
really?
He being my big brother, you're always competing. You're always trying to one up your big brother.
Yeah.
So
I thought you did look a bit like Cadell Evans.
Well, probably as small as him. But for me, it was going, he's kind of my benchmark, and I was always competing with him. We'd have fist fights. Mum would have to break it up. It was that competitive nature. But for me, it built that resilience as well to go, you're not always going to win, especially when you've got a big brother, and they'll knock you down constantly. But how do you get back up? How do you learn from it as well to go? And that shifted into the sports world where it's like, okay, if I want to be the best at this, what do I need to do? What are the best doing? And, it's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's repetition. It's getting feedback along the way. Also, being aware that you're not as good as you think you are, ever.
It comes down to that Dunning-Kruger effect, right? So a lot of traders will come in, or new people come in, and they think they're way better than they actually are. And that's that curve, that humbled. Spike curve, and then this will humble you pretty quickly, right? Yeah. Whenever I talk to any trader with experience, they are not the ego-driven Wall Street guy that we all think movies are made out of. They're very, very humble people, right? Because they know it's something that you will always consistently learn, not just about trading, about the environment, but also about yourself. Yeah, quite a bit.
So when you started trading, when you decided to go live, how big was your first live account?
Well, it depends when you define when you first started, but yeah, from a Lepus perspective, and since then it was around that 5K mark. So nothing huge. But in the past, I've traded bigger size, but had no idea what I was doing. So I was very lucky not to get wiped out. And again, that comes with being in a market which was just going north all the time.
Yeah,
and then luckily, life stage, took money out of that. We used some of that when we were buying our property, but yeah, it's really small at this stage, and now it's starting to go, okay, how do I build that over time? And getting that compound effect that happens with time, but not trying to double it in a week or double it in a month. It's going to take time.
That's right. So if you can handle and grow a $5,000 account, you could handle and grow a $50,000 or a $500,000 as you make those goals later on. But I think it's good. Yeah, possibly.
I'm sure there's new challenges that arise once you start sizing up.
Yeah, that's right. But that
is.
Definitely. But it's definitely good to know that you're not trying to just have success overnight.
Yeah,
and that's I think
it would be nice. But in any area of my life where I have been successful, it's because I've usually worked overnight to be that success. It's you've put in the hours, you put in the effort, so it's not pure luck. I'm sure luck plays a part of it, but it's not pure luck why you've landed wherever you are.
Well, some people in life, they get given in success, and it's very easy sometimes to look across the street and see that, whatever, they've just got, landed into money. But, if you're not born with that situation, for most people, they actually have to carve their own way. They want something different, right? So it sounds like, you understand that it's those success principles that apply in trading is the same as they do in any elite sport, business, career. If you want to be successful, you've got to be an outlier, right? So unless you're going to get lucky, but if you want to get lucky, you're better off going to the casino rather than trying to trade.
Yeah, well, that's it. And you probably only put a bet on once. And if you win, walk away.
Yeah,
because
easier said than done.
But that's right. Yeah. Cool. So as, when you start, well, obviously with Lepus, you have people coming through from all different walks. We've got people coming with an athletic background, people coming from a business background, some people coming in just completely green.
Yep.
So how are you coaching them differently, or how do you, manage them?
Well, all of the online content that it's complete, everything's there. They've got to learn all of that first before we really sit down doing one-on-ones and, turning up, doing all of the content, coming to the trader development sessions, coming to the nightly sessions. It's all there for everybody.
It's almost like a vetting process. Like if you're not prepared to put in the work and watch the videos, then
you'll just fall off anyway.
Yeah.
You'll fall away anyway, right? But all the content is there for everybody to learn. You've got to show up so you can start listening to the language that we use, because there's a lot of, when I'm talking about SD, SR, TPO, volume profile, volume nodes, POC, VWAP, all those type of things. Like Cam, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Now you do, but for new people, you've got to learn that. It's just simple, right? If I go to, my wife actually broke her knee about 7 months ago now, and I was sitting in the hospital with two surgeons at the end of her bed talking their language, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know what a fibula was, right?
Fibonacci, maybe.
Fibonacci. I didn't know, but that's their profession, that's their language. You've got to learn it. Yeah. So then we got to, once you learn all of the components, all of the different trader strategies, what's Wyckoff, what's the distribution, what's the accumulation, what's balance, imbalance, all of this language, you can understand how we're going to put it all together, right?
Yeah, right.
And then, but there's only one way to start, is just to start, go, get in and start doing it.
Well,
right?
you have to start somewhere.
Correct.
That's
and that
the
means go walk in there head first, right?
So if someone is, hearing all these terminologies and they could be overwhelmed with it, obviously, because it's a lot.
You'll go slow. We'll do one piece at a time. All of the content is broken up into those sections, right? So, what are we talking about when we're talking about the 50% rule? What are we talking about when we're talking about AB equals CD? Okay, it's just over time and over just listening to it repeatedly, it all sinks in.
And like I think you've said in a few of your videos before, the actual academic level needed.
Academic level, it's not complicated, right? It's just a new language. It's not complex, right? I'm not asking people to write me the formula for volume weighted average price. You don't need to know that, but you need to know the concept behind it, right? Your grade 9 mathematics is as much as you need. Okay, you don't need anything more. Right, it's understanding probability and how to add and subtract. That's about it. That's all you need. Yeah. So it's not complicated. It's not in the light of, do you need to be a high level academic? No, you don't. Right? Do we have to learn how the language and how things are put together? Just yes, right. But anybody can learn it. Okay, things like what are the macro news. Economic factors that are going to make a market move. I'll teach you that, right? You don't need to have a degree in economics to be able to understand what we're doing. Just a intuition of how money may move. Yeah. What is inflation? What does hawkish, what does bearish mean? What is non-farm payrolls? How does that influence interest rates? Now, if you don't know that right now, that's okay, right? I'll teach you what you need to know, okay? And then after a while, you hear me talking about it over and over again, then you'll just click. You'll get it.
You just have to listen.
Just have to listen.
To learn.
Show up.
Show up.
Don't talk back. Listen.
Don't talk back. Just listen.
Yeah. I think when it comes to something like trading, it's such a high level. It's a high level sport, career, whatever you want to call it. And it definitely comes with that high level mindset. You need to have, you need to be having that winner's mindset. And Cam over here is everything he said. It's just like winners mindset. I think that'll take you a very, very long way.
Hopefully, and I think it's having the faith in that as well. Yeah. The belief that what you're doing is leading to the outcome that you want, but not measuring your success on that. Like I think, I've probably said it 3 or 4 times, that, focus on the process. You watch, elite sport, listen to coaches of teams. All they're talking about is execute the process. They're not saying win the game. Yeah. And whether it's 100%. AFL, NRL, American football, NBA, it's all the same. That the coaches are asking their players to execute one play at a time.
Yeah, it's not about the outcome. It's about if you trust the process and you follow it, then you'll get the outcome.
Maybe
9 times.
Maybe you'll get the outcome, and if you don't, you might next time. So don't change the process on one event or one game, one session.
It's like strategy jumping.
Yeah.
Right. So because you don't have that faith, you don't have that guidance, the accountability, etc. You'll tend to just strategy jump from one to the next. Right?
And that's when it doesn't work.
And that's definitely when it doesn't work, because a professional trader will trade toward the environment, the market environment, not to the strategy and jump around because one strategy stopped working, right? And usually a strategy will stop working because the environment has changed and they haven't adapted to it, right?
How long does it take you to, was it something that you're competent with now, is understanding what market environment we're in, or is
competence an interesting word, but I'd say getting better at reading it, and that's been probably the last 4 or 5 weeks of trying to understand what type of market we're in that session or in that 24-hour block, to go, are we in a trending environment? Are we in a sideways range, open auction where it's just, bouncing up and down 10, 15 points? Have we gone up and gone straight back down and through, trying to figure out that, and then adjusting my approach based off that. So, rather than trying to take a trade that's in a trend setup, trying to take that trade in a sideways market will just frustrate the hell out of you, because you'll take it, stopped out, take it, stopped out, take it, stopped out. And you're like, why is this not working? It's showing me everything, but you haven't zoomed out to look at the broader context of the market. As soon as you see it, it's clear as day.
Clear as crystal.
And you kind of punch yourself on the stupidity of not adjusting. But again, that comes from experience of going, all right, you might make one trade, it doesn't work. You make another, it doesn't work. Zoom out. What's going on? Why isn't this working? Then you'll see it. And then you go, okay, it's a sideways market. We'll be looking at the bottom of the range and the top of the range. That's all you need to focus on until it breaks.
Correct.
Yeah. Good. That's very good. Did you need to unlearn anything that you previously thought was, the way to go coming into Lepus?
Yeah, for sure. So I think probably something which I'd focused on previously was, breakouts. And as soon as it breaks out, get in. And that's been something I've had to unlearn, because
jump on the train.
Yeah. Well, that was it. It was, again, being in bull markets of the past. If you got in at that point, it just kept on going. There was no pullback. Whereas now, learning that it's okay if it breaks out and you're not on the train, wait for it to come back, because then it's going to be a higher probability setup, lower risk. And I won't say 9 times out of 10, because that's not a correct statistic, but it will pull back and then it will go again, and it might keep going, it might not. But again, you've defined the parameters of your trade, you've looked at risk and reward, and you've entered because the setup's correct. You've given yourself the best chance of making a good trade.
Spot on.
That's it.
Great.
That's what they're the pitfalls that most traders will do. They'll chase a trade. Okay, so that's dangerous, chasing, not waiting for that pullback opportunity, that high confluence area to get the best risk to reward. And the other one is that not being able to recognise that you're in a open auction or a bound market by support resistance, and you're trying to trade breakouts in the wrong time, right? Because that'll just eat you alive. Yep. And Cam's smiling because it's happened to him many times. Yeah. And you hear me screaming not screaming, but telling everybody on the live sessions, you sell the tops, buy the bottoms, don't do anything until you get the breakout, right? Because if you are trying to trade the breakout before it's actually giving you evidence that it's breaking out, then you're going to get chewed.
Yeah, great advice. So, Cam's obviously done very well in his first 3 months, but what would be a realistic expectation for someone within their first 3 to 6 months?
Cam's at the stage now where he did really well. He's done well in the past, and we're getting that edge from demo or small amounts of money, just gradually getting into larger amounts of money, really focusing on his level of behaviour between really good trading and tight trading now, because you're starting to really feel it, right? So we're at the stage where if we can break that, we can get him behaving in the right manner, where he's being successful on, gradually, 5K, 10K, or maybe 15. My job will be to, when you're trading, start putting the pressure on you a little bit more and more and more and more, right? So when it does become that time where you are trading a large fund of some sort, then, you already know what that pressure feels like, right?
You're making a big jump.
Correct. Instead of if you make too big a jump too quickly, you'll fall flat on your face, right? Because, under Yerkes-Dodson law, okay, increase in stress decreases performance, right?
So this would be a good topic, because some people might hear that and be like, "No, I'm different. I make money."
No, I can guarantee you will 100% fall on your face.
What makes you so confident with that?
Because I've seen everyone do it, including myself when I started doing it, and I had to teach myself how to not do it, right? 100% of traders that have ever gone from small account of some sort and then put $500,000 in front of them falls on their face. 100% guarantee it will happen to you.
A good
right?
analogy is like, you might go to the gym and squat 40 kilos. But if you try and put a couple more 20s on the bar and you haven't done it before and all of a sudden you're squatting 140, it's going to break your knees.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Do you agree with me?
Yeah,
with that,
yeah.
Cam?
And I think for me, that's been part of the learning as well. And everyone needs to be really honest with themselves that, again, they're not as good as they think they are. And that's not an arrogant statement. It's just being able to say, just be aware that it could be luck. And when you do have those pull downs or drawdowns or regressions in your own development, don't make excuses. Don't hide away from it. Be honest with it. Confront it, because it's in those moments of discomfort that you're going to get the greatest growth. And back to your weights analogy, you can't progress if you're not putting more weight on the bar. If you're just going through the motions, doing the same thing week in, week out, you show up, but you get nowhere. So I think be vulnerable. And, that was one of the things from the session that we had on the weekend was a lot of people were talking to me and going, oh, the stuff you put on Discord, I find a lot of value in it. And I was like, well, put your stuff up there too. And they're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable. And it's like, well, no one can support you with your trading if you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not being vulnerable, if you're trying to be the hero in the room, it's probably not the room for you, because we're all here to support each other. We've got a great coach and mentor, but no one's going to help you unless you put your hand up and you say, hey, I actually need help here. And it's the same as, in a workplace setting. If you don't say anything, you sit in the shadows, just go about your business. Yeah, you're a good employee. Are you a great employee? Probably not. And when you get into trouble, what's worse? If you don't tell anyone and then someone finds out, or if you put your hand up and say, look, something's gone wrong here, everyone gets around you and helps you. So it's very similar in this context that, we've got a community that supports each other, and that accelerated my learning as well at the start, was reading and seeing what other people were doing and connecting with them and going, tell me why you drew that line there, or what's a fair value gap? I don't understand that content. Break it down, in a relatable way for me to understand based on where I was at that point in time.
It's a game changer. Community's everything. And I just can't believe, well, I sort of can. I guess it's got to do a lot with ego. Oh, some people still think they can do it by themselves without having a mentor and B, a community.
I mean, if you want to do it yourself, call your mate. You could do it in 10 years.
Yeah, if you're obsessed, you don't have a job.
If you're obsessed, you don't have a job, you could do it in 10 years. You can go through all the pain of strategy jumping, testing everything out, discovery, whatever it might be, glued to YouTube for, forever and a day. And probably lose about, 50 grand of your own money doing it, right?
Is that all?
Yeah, like that. I've heard some pretty bad stories out there. 150,000, 160, 200 grand, and because they just didn't learn how to do it properly. They thought they could do it, and then they come to me. Only then they come to me. So for me to fix their problems, but in that situation, I've got to undo all of the bad habits that they've got. But what you can do is you can shortcut it. I'll get you to profitability within 2 years or roundabout. Everyone's different. I'm not guaranteeing that, but I'll show you what works straight off the bat, right? Because I've already gone there. I've already been there. I've already done it. That's the choices. Yeah.
Well, I think, like you said, you referenced before, back when you started, there was no mentors, and it took
There was
you
no mentors for me. I had to have my mentor over in the United States. It took me a while. First time I traded was the S&P 500, ES mini contract. Blew up 30 grand within about 3 weeks, gone. Then, tried to do it again, lost 10K. So, when you're starting out and you think you know it all, a recipe for disaster, you're going to lose.
What made you kick on and not give up in that
Because
moment?
I'm a dog with a bone. I started writing this entire program just for myself to learn. I had to write it all down. So everything I could get my hands on, I wrote it down, did all the research, got my own 2 mentors. One was North Carolina, the other, and I used to sit up all night watching the US market. And the other one was in Chicago. I learned how to do it, right? But I did my time of strategy jumping myself, right? And then I just slowly learned how to do it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
What? But you say you dog with a bone. Why? I'm just curious why.
I did not want to let it go. I had to master it.
But what was going on like in your life at that point for you to be that determined to make it work?
Because I liked it. I was just interested in it, right? I was interested in it. You know, I was fascinated by the markets. I was fascinated by, you know, how it moves, you know, all of the components in it, participants, you know, how futures work, how CFDs work. Just learned and learned and learned and learned and learned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I just didn't want to let it go.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's probably similar, approaching it with a business mindset to go, if you were to start a new business today, you're probably not going to be profitable tomorrow. You probably won't be profitable in that first month, maybe not even the first 3 months. There might be small glimmers of hope that happen along the way. It could be 12 months, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. But do you believe enough to keep going? And do you believe enough to keep pushing when everything tells you to stop? And with a business, you have upfront costs. So be aware of that. Be willing to back yourself to go, yes, I'm going to make this work, and learn the rules of the game. And the rules can change at times as well. So be aware of that. And, you know, for me, I love it because it's a game. It's a game to try and figure out. Will I ever figure it out? Probably not. But will I get closer to, you know, having a strategy, having an approach, having a mindset that works? Yeah, I think so. And those development phases, again, you know, are accelerated in this environment where, you know, I had a phase where I had a drawdown, and Richard called me and he goes, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, you know, taking a few hits." He's like, "Okay, well, let's do this. Then you're going to experience this once we get back into it." Yep, that happened. You know, an example is you've had a losing streak and now you're just taking wins because you're not letting it run. You're not waiting for it to hit your target price. You're just taking a win, you know, 5 pips, 6 pips, whatever it is, because you're trying to clock that win. You know, that's a phase of development. And yeah, and it's being aware of that and recognizing it, again, reflecting through your trade journal or through your trade session review to go, you know, why was I doing that? Okay, you just wanted to get some wins on the board. Okay, that's all right. But now get back to the strategy, get back to, you know, what you're meant to be doing. You've had your fun now. You've got your confidence back. Go again. Yeah, it's all just a big game at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is. Sure.
Never-ending game.
Never-ending. Is that one of the major reasons why you chose trading over any other business model, or is there other reasons as well?
Yeah, I think it comes back to that curiosity of how it all works. And probably like electricity, you don't need to know. So just understand how it works, as in if you flick the switch, the light turns on. Okay, well, in the market, it's moving all the time. So what do you need to do to, you know, enjoy that environment? Trading for me has been just something I'm interested in and curious about, and it's that ongoing game element to it. And, you know, I put it on the Discord community the other week. I just love being in the game, which I need to moderate as well, because sometimes I just want to be in the game, even if it's not the right setup. Yeah. Understanding that it's always there as well. That's the other thing. You don't need to trade every night, and you probably shouldn't. And I've had a recent spell where I wasn't in the right environment or wasn't in the right mindset, or, you know, the week was too big from a work sense that I shouldn't have traded, but I did because I wanted to be in the game. Did I learn from it? Yep.
What did you learn?
Not to be in the game. And it's understanding your pre-game routine and building a pre-game routine that is consistent. So you're preparing the same way. You're clearing the decks, you're clearing the air so that you can be on when you need to be on. And when whatever is not aligning, being okay with going, all right, I might sit this one out. You don't go into a game if you've got, you know, a corked leg from last week. You wait. So working through that recovery process and then going, all right, I'm good to go again. Let's do this.
Yeah, and I guess that's something you can only know after a bit of experience as well.
Or advice.
Yeah.
That's right.
A bit of both.
Right.
Yeah. You've got a daughter.
Yep.
You've got a 9 to 5 job. You work from home or you work in the office?
Bit of both.
Bit of both. Okay. How do you find managing the trading with your career?
Complex. Yeah, often I'm on the train listening to the live session. If I'm working in the city, if I'm working from home, there's a bit more flexibility to be able to get set for the nightly session. But again, it's prioritizing. So how do you work your day so that you can be ready when the time comes, so that you're not letting down either party. You're not letting down your employer. You're not letting down yourself in building your trading business. And, you know, also recognizing that there's days where you need to be all in for work, and they expect you to be all in for work. So being able to moderate your week based off both.
You got your family life on top of career life as well, so you got to be able to juggle that. Yes, you know, I know a lot of our traders have families, and I guess it's just about making some time to actually put towards the learning and being able to juggle it with the family life as well.
Yeah, and that's why you're doing it at the end of the day often is to give a better life or to create a better life for you and your family. So, don't miss those moments along the way either, though, because they won't be there for very long.
Yeah, but you're managing to make the time to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's the same as anything. It's, you know, communicating it early need to go to a seminar all Saturday, and this is why I'm doing it. Yeah. And, you know, you might cop some grief about it, but that's okay. It's also being able to go, if I do that, then, you know, this is what I need to do to balance things out. It's give and take all the time.
That's some good advice.
Excellent. All right. Beautiful.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Cam.
Thank you,
coming
boys.
along.
No worries.
All right. Okay, cool.
Let's
All
go.
right. Thanks, mate.
Thanks.
Good.